Hi, my name is Josh Evilsizor. Today I'm going to show you how to create your best resume or LinkedIn profile with AI. So, if creating your resume from scratch feels like climbing Mount Everest barefoot, you're watching the right video. Today we're going to answer the question, if creating a resume was easy, what would that look like? Today I'm going to give you the tools to capture your entire work history and then effortlessly translate all of that into compelling corporate poetry. How? Well, one prompt, two templates, and a brand new AI-boosted voice-to-text app. I'll explain and then hopefully inspire and then hand you all of these tools so you can take the lift up the mountain. That is life on easy mode. Are you ready? Let's jump in. So first, what are we going to do? We're going to take your work history, this mountain of information, and turn it into a precision trail map with the guidance and help of our AI Sherpa. What we are not going to do is create AI slop by letting AI control our climb. We'll be creating our resume with AI. AI will be helping us. It won't be creating our resume for us. When we ask AI for output without the appropriate amount of input, it creates slop. Conversely, by providing context, examples, and finely tuned guidance, we create art or compelling corporate poetry, your resume. With AI's help, this is where we're going to arrive, along with the templates that I'm excited to give you. So now that we've talked about what we are and are not going to do today, let's jump in. So this is the Google Drive folder that is shared in the video description down below, and these are the templates that I provided for you. What I'd like you to do is make a copy of each of these documents and follow along if you'd like to. If you do nothing else, make sure you grab the prompt and save that to your prompt library. Josh, what is a prompt library? Well, check out the video description below talking about portable or universal prompts. Once you've grabbed these and you're ready to go, let's jump into the actual prompt. So, 4 components here. I know it's a prompt and there's a section called prompt. This is what I like to give the model as kind of an overview of what we're about to do before we get started when we provide, I would call, excessively detailed prompts. So we're going to give it a prompt, which is, as you know, if you've watched any of my videos, PAO, so persona, audience, and output is what we're going to include there. We're going to give it some great references. I'll go over those in a second. Some critical rules to make sure our stuff is good, and then some instructions at the end to wrap it all up. And we're going to go piece by piece. So let's start with the prompt. First of all, anything in red you can potentially delete. Anything in red in parentheses is just for me to call out what that portion of the prompt is. So in this case, this P stands for persona, because this portion of our prompt is the persona. And I'm going to read through this. So the first portion here says, assume the persona of an expert resume writer with 25 years of experience helping, I'm going to pause here, executives and military veterans. So this should be you. So if you don't have military experience and executive doesn't sound like you, make it sound like you. So replace that red with what sounds like you. So you do you. Let me read the rest of this here. And translate their experience into compelling civilian resumes. And if you don't have military background, then just delete the civilian. I've included a military to civilian translation for all my military folks watching these videos that would like that included. Also, I built this for me, and now I'm sharing it with you. All right. You have particular expertise in helping candidates present their achievements in the most impactful way while maintaining absolute truthfulness, which is what's key. All right, audience and output. And you're like, but Josh, I don't see any output. And you're right. I'm sorry, I don't see any audience. And you're right. The audience is implied because of the output, which is a resume. So the output is your task is to create a polished, fact-based, high-impact, professional resume using my personal information. And there's another component down here. To assist, review the provided references below. I like to always just give the model a heads up. This whole thing is wave tops. And then we're going to do the deep dive next, but I like to just let the model know, here's what's coming at you. And so that's what we're doing right here. To assist, review the provided references below. Resume info and content, which is our template, military bio, and example resume. Those are the 3 things we're going to give the model. So we'll close up the prompt and we're going to look at the references. Again, in red, in parentheses, it's just here to talk. Here, it's for me to talk to you about why it's here. So this is context, and these are references. Anything that we can give the model that helps it understand what we're doing is usually useful. And of course, the rest of this information is key because it's going to use these references to create our final output. All right, resume info and content template. That's the first thing we're going to populate. It's going to have all of our background information, the stuff I talked about at the beginning. And we'll talk about how to make that easy in a moment. These are all the components of that document. So we're letting the AI know when you open this document, this is all the stuff you're going to see. And where necessary, this is what it means. So I just go through here and I explain all this to the model ahead of time. What I want to highlight, all of my professional and military experience. If military, again, doesn't apply to you, just delete the red if not applicable. These are all the components of the document, and we're going to look at the document here in a minute, but organization, location, dates, title, role, organization background, and accomplishments. All the stuff that goes into a resume, to include contact information, education, skills and certifications, awards, personal interests, health, fitness, etc., and then info dump. All this stuff we're going to go over in this next document in a second. So there's the resume info and content template. The next piece is the military bio. If you're not military, just delete it. If you are, feel free to use it if you like. I'm not sure how helpful it is to the model, but it's got some information in there that gives it additional context, so I decided to include it. So we'll hit that in a second as well. Finally, the example resume template. This is what the resume needs to look like. So here's the example. Please create something that looks like this, and we'll show you what it looks like in just a second. All right, so there's the big pieces: the resume info and content template, military bio, and the example resume template. Let's look at each one of these. Resume info and content. So this is the blank copy. I've given you two. There's a blank copy and there's a populated copy. We're going to go over the blank one first. And as always with Google Docs, there's a little menu over here, so I'm going to expand that. And when it opens, there's this piece right here that you can click on, and now there is a navigation bar on the left-hand side. This matters because as you fill this document out, it gets a little unwieldy if you're as old as me. And moving around in the document using these titles is very handy. But what you want to do is you want to move through this document and you want to fill out each of the sections with your information. I wish I could make that part easier, but I can't. You got to give the model something to go on. So you'll move through this document filling out each of these components. I broke out professional experience and military experience separately, but if you don't have military background, again, just delete that section. All right. Then I also gave each of these sections, or each of my jobs, I started with what I call the short title. And so that way I can move from role to role very quickly. And what that looks like over here, each of those short titles just has the title of the role that I was in. Makes it very easy to navigate the document and add and delete information as you're updating this content document. All right. The last things I want to touch on are all the components in here. Education, of course, you got to give it your schools. So the school, the location, dates, outcome, so what was the degree, skills and certifications, awards, background, personal interests, and data info dump. When I look at the populated copy, I'll show you what all this means. Before we pivot out of here, I want to show you the voice-to-text magic that makes all of this much easier. Okay, so again, with any job, you're going to give it the short title, so you can, again, navigate on the left-hand side a little easier. That's for us, not the model. But then the organization, so where'd you work? What was the name of the place you worked at? Where did you work? So the location, dates, self-explanatory, your title, your role, and then organization background. So organization background, this could be something that you type in or you talk to it, which I'll show you in a second, or just go to your company's website and copy the About Us section that tells what your company does. It's critical the model understands where you're coming from. So what's your role? what's the company that you work at. And when you start telling it what you did at that organization, it can kind of take all that information together and infer some things and come up with better bullets than we might on our own if we or the model would without that context. So we want to let it know what type of organization we work for, what they do, and why our role matters. All right. So organization background, again, that's something you can generate on your own or just go to your company's website and just pull the copy from there. But help the model with context and background. All right. And then the accomplishments. This is the hard part, right? Where you got to think through and then in a normal world, type, retype, type, retype, type, retype for hours on end until you get the perfect two-sentence explanation of what you did that sounds really good. Well, the magic here is the model is going to take whatever you give it, and it's going to make it sound great. Of course, giving it metrics and things like that are going to make it sound even better. But I want to highlight the capabilities of the model to turn your casual conversation into some really strong bullets. So here, I want to highlight whisperflow.ai. Not getting paid for this, just ran across this about 2 weeks ago, and I've been using it, and it is awesome. So I'm going to show you an example. So normally typing with my voice, if I were to use Google Docs, it would be hit and miss. Commas, sentences, sentence periods, all those things would generally or occasionally be included, but just would not be perfect like they are with WhisperFlow. And so when I'm using WhisperFlow, I can tell it, I used to work at this really neat job. I did all these strong, important things, and they were hard to do and stuff and things. And this whisperflow.ai will get all of this perfectly. So I've released the button. It's going to take a second, and then boom. Wow. The capitalization is correct. The commas are right. Let's see. Typing with my voice, if I were to use Google Docs, it would be hit and miss. Commas, sentences, sentence periods. Those things would generally or occasionally be included, but wouldn't be perfect, unlike with WhisperFlow. When I'm using WhisperFlow, I can tell it, even put it in quotes. Anyways, you get the point. So instead of 40 words per minute typed, 150 words per minute, just, vomited on the page straight out of your brain, 275% faster than with your stubby little fingers typing it all out. All right. Hopefully I didn't get too excited for you there and you get the point. This is what done looks like. And I'm just going to grab the top one here. What I want to highlight, and in this role, these numbers are not real numbers, by the way. I'm not outing my company, but things that are going to help the model understand where you're coming from. And so, hey, the company grew while I was there, so that's helpful. Hopefully I was part of that. What I want to highlight here, though, is the casualness of the bullets that I created, because we're going to use this populated template to create our resume. And so I want you to see how just vomiting that stuff out of your brain onto the page is almost good enough. Now, certainly you see that I've got some statistics in here. Those are important. So I'm not going to play down the fact that you can't include or that you don't need to include hard facts and numbers and show how you improved the organization you worked for while you were there with hard figures. But I do want to highlight just, for example, I don't know why I did that. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, and it's just written so casually because I'm just talking to this thing, and then we're going to see the results here. But actually, let me start with a top one here. So, because we know I'm going to read that in the end. So I've done a ton with AI at Atlas. Like, you wouldn't believe the impact. We did this whole executive workshop series about AI that went incredibly well. I mean, so you can just see the very casualness with the way that I just spat all this out onto the page. And let's see, the results are going to be pretty impressive. And again, I just want to highlight how much easier this is to do when we're talking to the document instead of trying to do this and make it perfect. Hopefully my point has come across well. Now let's move into the next document, which is the resume template. So I pulled this right out of Google Doc templates. I like it. It's clean. It's a very good layout. Enough said. What I want to highlight here is everything matches. So professional experience matches the template and the background document, company, location, job title. Everything matches. So what I've told the what I've told the model to do, it doesn't have to translate anything. Everything matches, so it's going to be able to just give us all the pieces we asked for without having to like figure out what did he mean by this, because this is called one thing over here and it's called something else over here. Everything matches. All right. The model could probably figure it out, but I just try to make everything super easy for it so it comes out perfectly. Dates we were there, and then the role description. Finally, in this document, I've provided it 6 bullets, but I'm only going to keep 3. But in the prompt, you'll see that I tell the model to follow the resume exactly. So I gave it 6, so it gives me 6. Then I'm just going to delete the worst bullets and keep the top 3, or keep the ones that are relevant that I want to keep. All right. Finally, as with the other document, in here I've got a military experience section. If it's not applicable for you, just go ahead and delete that. Ultimately, when this resume is completed, it fits best, or 3 roles fit on the front page and then 3 roles on the back page, along with education, skills and certifications, and awards. All fit nicely on 2 pages. So there you go. This is the template. This is what we're going to give it and tell it to give back to us in this format. Finally, the bio. And if you don't have military background, just ignore this. And if you do and you already have a bio, feel free to ignore this. I just thought giving the model some additional background on my background could be helpful. It's got the schools that I've completed, it's got the awards that I've received, it's got when I was promoted, and then all the positions that I've held. Just some additional context for the model. All right, so we're jumping in next where we left off. Okay, so we told it, hey model, these are the references that I'm giving you, the resume info and content, which is what we just covered. And again, I just want to highlight, I've given you 2 products. So I've given you the empty one, and I've given you the populated. I've given you both. So use whichever one is easiest for you. Sometimes I like to edit rather than create, but if you don't want to delete all my stuff or have to delete all my stuff, start with the blank one. All right, so we've given it the resume info and content template, and we've told it we're giving it that, and we've told it everything that's in there ahead of time, so it's got a good read ahead. We've told it we're giving it this military bio, so it expects to see that. Delete that if it doesn't apply to you. And we've told it we've given an example resume template. Please use that when you produce the resume so that it looks like what we expect it to look like. All right. References complete. Now we're going to go through the rules. Okay. Use only the information I provide. Please don't make stuff up. Now, you still got to check the work. Every now and then it's going to make something up. So you just got to look for stuff that you didn't do and just remove it because they're models. And if we want it to be creative with what we've done and come up with some really neat phraseology, there's going to be some hallucination that comes with that creativity. All right, enough said. You may draw a logical inference and conclusions, but do not invent accomplishments, all caps. This is not going to be the end of our request to not hallucinate. We give it our best. Adhere strictly to the example resume format. So, structure the resume exactly as shown in the example resume template. Do not use any information from the example resume template. If you remember, it had a bunch of stuff in Latin that would not be good, wouldn't be helpful. So don't use that. Just use the format. Each role description must not exceed 125 characters. So that's the 1-sentence description of what your role was at that company. And this will be 1 line, 125 characters. Characters better than word count. Models just don't do good with word count. They do great with character count. Each role should include 6 bullet points under the accomplishments section. Like I said, we're asking for 6. We're going to keep 3. Order the bullets from strongest to weakest. Begin with the most compelling and end with the least compelling, right? Start with that knockout punch and then the body blows. All right. Each bullet point must not exceed 200 characters. So 200 characters is 2 lines, is 2 full lines. So don't exceed 200 characters. If any of this stuff you don't like, change it. And that's why I'm explaining the why behind it. Okay. Elevate the language for maximum impact. Help us out here. Use strong, action-oriented language to enhance accomplishments. Maintain concise and high-impact phrasing that showcase leadership, results, and technical expertise. Now, if you don't want to showcase leadership, results, and technical expertise, feel free to change those words. Military to civilian translation. So if you're not leaving the military or were in the military and need translation of your military roles to your civilian, just delete this section. But if you do have military experience, this could be helpful for you. All right, so my experience includes extensive military service. Translate military roles, responsibilities, and accomplishments into civilian-friendly terms. Yes, please. Frame achievements in a way that resonates with civilian employers while preserving their impact. Let me talk about that for a second. So in the resume template that I gave you, which is right here, and in the military experience section, I want to highlight this part right here. So military job title I left in, so battalion commander, and then civilian equivalent job title, general manager, operations director. So I usually put in parentheses something that kind of equals what that military job title is or was. But I like to leave in the military job title because some people know what that means, and that could be impactful. Battalion commander, platoon sergeant, platoon leader, so on and so forth, defined here in civilian terms in parentheses. Okay. Avoid uncommon military jargon. Yes, please. We don't need that in there. And again, if you don't have military experience, just delete all that other stuff I just talked about. Ask clarifying questions about any experiences or achievements to help craft stronger bullet points. This is where it gets really good. We're telling the model, if you can make this better by me giving you more information, please ask for that more information. All right, so can you provide more details about the outcome of specific project, in brackets there, right? It could be something else. What was the size of the team or budget you managed in specific role? Were there any measurable improvements in specific area you can share? Another opportunity for it to ask questions. As an expert resume writer, please ask questions when you need clarification or see opportunities to strengthen the impact of any achievement. Yes, please, make it better. Ask me questions. How can we do this? How can we work together? It's us working with the model, not the model just producing some generic slop for us. Provide alternative ways to phrase accomplishments for maximum impact. Yes, please. Point out any experiences that could be better quantified. Hey, how about some numbers here, Josh? You got it. Let me go get them. Remember, this is the expert resume writer with 25 years experience helping us out. Help me help you. All right, so present opportunities to best highlight the hidden or implied portions of my experience, and then help translate military achievements into civilian-friendly language. Delete that if you don't need it. Finally, we're going to do it one more time. Ensure 100% accuracy. All content must be derived directly from the provided documents. It doesn't alleviate us from checking it to make sure it didn't do that, though. All right, there's our rules. Here's our instructions. So we're going to wrap up with a very high level. So we started with high level. Here's what you're about to get. And then we end with high level. Do these things. So your job is to complete the steps listed below. And again, A and O, audience and output. We're specific with the output, which is a resume that it's producing, and the audience is implied. Review the prompt. Review the references. Review the rules. So from the top down, in order. Ask questions to help guide your approach, and we've given it specific types of questions that it can ask us. Generate a polished, fact-based, high-impact, professional resume that can be immediately used for job applications. Generate one role at a time and seek feedback before proceeding to the next role. This is very important. We're going to talk about each role, and we're going to make it good before we move on to the next section. It's that conversation we're going to have. And by focusing on one role at a time, we focus the model. So it doesn't have its, I'm going to use the word attention. I shouldn't be anthropomorphizing it, but it alleviates it, spreading its attention across this, all these documents we've given it and the resume it's trying to produce. Instead, it's just literally just focusing on just that one section. So I wanted to highlight that. Generate only 6 roles in total, the 3 most recent civilian and military roles, and delete the civilian and military if it's not applicable to you. Finally, think step by step and ask any questions before starting. But Josh, I heard you're using Claude 3.7 and it can do this on its own. You don't need to tell it this anymore. Maybe, maybe not. But it never can hurt to help it. Hey, just slow down and think step by step. All right, so that is prompt, references, rules, and instruction. The next step, we're just going to feed the beast. Okay, so I'm using Claude within Poe. So Poe is a model aggregator, and I pay 20 bucks a month, and I get to use Claude and all of these models instead of just one model. So that's why we're looking at Poe. We're using Claude through Poe. All right, so we're going to feed the model the prompt, the resume content, and the resume format. Those three things. Let's go ahead and pull that up. So you can see that. So I've got the prompt, and I've got the info and content template, which is populated. The resume template, and I'm going to add my military bio. Don't do that if you don't need it on your end. All right, those are all uploaded. And the model should come back to us with some questions. I'll help you create a professional resume based on the documents, based on your military bio. As a background, thank you. Before I start drafting your resume, I'd like to ask a few questions. What type of civilian position are you targeting with this resume? This will help me emphasize the most relevant skills and experience. Okay, so in this case, I am, you know what? I am just building a baseline resume that is suitable for most job types. All right, then I hold the shift key and hit the enter button so that I can put bullet point number 2. It's important that I answer back in the same bullets that it's given me so it doesn't have to think too hard and it can match up my responses. All right, number 2, would you like me to focus on your leadership abilities, technical expertise, program management skills, or another area? Please focus on my leadership abilities and program management skills. For your current VP role at Atlas, the revenue growth numbers are impressive. Did you play a direct role in this growth that we should highlight? Yes, I did. I streamlined many processes that made the organization more profitable. I'm on camera right now, so I'm on the spot, so my answers are a little bit crap. But when you're talking with the model, you want to give it your best responses. I noticed your AI implementation Atlas was significant. Can you confirm if the 67%, blah, 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 accurate metrics to include? Yes. I like how the model's checking me. Don't you question me. For your military experience as a battalion commander, would you prefer to emphasize the leadership aspects, operational, or strategic planning? Please emphasize the leadership and strategic planning elements. Send it. All right, we're going to get some good results, but there's 2 responses we're always going to have for each of the sections that it builds for us. Remember, I gave it this very casual word vomit, and it's turned it into these pretty strong bullets. Led enterprise-wide AI implementation with custom prompt frameworks and chatbots, achieving 100% adoption, enabling 67% of staff to integrate AI tools into daily workflows. Thank you. Great job. We could hit the rest of them, but we don't have time for that right now. What I want to highlight is the 2 responses you want to give the model every single time, or at least consider. All right. And you can see all of the talking that I was doing has been caught in this window. So the first one is basically try harder, but I like to say it in a nicer way. Try harder because the model is going to take what it's given you and it's going to look at this and go, okay, how can I make this better? And it's going to get even better. Generally speaking, sometimes it'll go backwards, but it's a conversation. Don't take the first results. All right, so a great first pass. Please review this to see if there are areas that can be enhanced, tightened up, or strengthened. And of course, the model is going to find areas to improve. You're right, let me refine this to make it even stronger. All right, so business and technology executive driving innovation and operational excellence across systems, quality management, and process optimization. Pioneered enterprise-wide AI implementation with 100% adoption rate, enabling 67% of staff to leverage AI tools that directly contributed to 120% revenue growth. So it took the revenue numbers. It's nice job, AI. Good work. The last thing we want to do, because we are creating a resume with AI, we know there are people screening resumes with AI, looking for resumes that have been written by AI. So we want to help avoid being screened out because it looks like our resume was written by AI. So what I ask it here is, and of course I got to push the select button just a little bit harder, but if you were reviewing this and trying to detect if this was written by AI, would you flag anything? And so we're going to have it double check its work and make sure nothing looks AI-ish or too AI-ish. The metrics are very precise and numerous. While these are from your actual data, the density of specific numbers in a single entry can sometimes appear artificial. Some of the language is quite sophisticated but slightly formulaic. All bullets start with strong action verbs in very consistent pattern. I don't mind that. And so it's given us its feedback, and we could reject it all out of hand, or we could, all right, yeah, go with 2, go with 3, and don't apply number 1. Have that conversation until it gets to the point where we like it. But ultimately, give it an opportunity to let you know what could be flagged as AI-ish. All right, so this is what we do. This is the first role. Let's say I like this. I like this. Let's go ahead and ship it and move to the next role. General manager at Roslyn. So on and so forth. Rinse and repeat. That's it. My goal is to help regular people like us play life on easy mode. If we were successful today, please let me know. Don't forget, I offer one-on-one coaching for everything you've seen here in any of these videos. Click the calendar emoji in the video description below. Don't forget about all the link goodness in the video description below. So the templates that I've given you, they're all in the Google Doc folder. This script with all the instructions in it that we went over today are also linked in the video description below. I even included the prompt that I used to create the prompt that I used in this video. Yes, I wrote a prompt to get a better prompt. Check that out. And so templates and additional videos linked in the description below related to this video. Next video is going to be on role-targeted resume. Finally, please like, subscribe, share this with somebody that needs a job right now or could just use help writing their resume. Finally, as always, if you leave questions, I will leave answers. Now go and be just a little bit productive.